Hey, everybody, it's Thursday, another great Thursday here in the land of the conversation. Of course, I am your host, Edwin Maya. This is a conversation outspoken opinionated. Happy April. Again, a big congratulations to the new justice. We have the first female black justice of the Supreme Court. We say congratulations to Justice Brown. Guys, if you're not following us, again, like I've always said, you know what? I feel I'm rusty right now. Let me talk to you. So, what is happening here now at the conversation? If you aren't following us, we are asking you to follow us on Facebook, of course, the conversation outspoken opinionated. You can go to Instagram now. We are called the Outspoken and Opinionated Podcast. We are also on Spotify. So if you haven't heard about us, we ask you can go to Spotify. We are on Spotify. We are on Spotify. You can go and check us out and listen to us. Also, you can go to Apple Podcasts. We're also on Apple Podcasts. So, guys, we have been having a great time. I mean, last month was extremely great. I mean, the conversations were serious. We had some amazing women that graced the platform. I mean, we talked about everything. This month is going to be a little tricky. We're going to have multiple conversations with multiple people. We're starting up the conversation this month with two amazing people that I've gotten to know. I literally have seen them grown up. Their culture is kind of totally different. The way they look at life is totally different. And so we wanted to have this conversation with Generation X and, of course, the millennials. So they are basically tricking their way into the studio. Of course, I hear people are texting me, telling me that my people are telling me that, it's supposed to work out. So I think they're here. But yeah, the conversation is going to be dope. Can't wait to have a conversation with these guys. These are people that I kind of know, I won't say I grew up with them. I want to say they grew up with me. Because if I say I grew up with them, then it's like they're like the same age. But there are two great young people that I admire, people that I think have changed the scope of what young people are supposed to look like. And so I'm going to bring Ruhama into the broadcast. Ruhama, welcome to the conversation. How are you?
Hi, I'm well. How are you?
Well, good. It's good to have you. And then I'm going to bring Ibrahima. Welcome, sir. How are you?
I'm good. How's everybody doing?
Good.
Good.
Good to see you guys. I'm super excited to have you guys here. So, Ruhama, I'm gonna start you just so the people who you are, what you do, and all that good stuff, and then we'll just go straight to Ibrahima.
Okay, I am Ruhama, like EJ just said. I guess I'm a tax accountant. That's what I primarily do. I also do some stock trading. I dabble in different things, just anywhere that I can get my feet wet, I guess. So that's currently what I do. I have different hobbies. I did the YouTube thing for a while. I'm into reading now and crocheting. So that's my new hobby that I'm taking up. But yeah, so go ahead, Ibrahima.
All right, awesome.
Mr. Ibrahima?
Yeah.
So tell the people who you are, what you do.
Oh, yeah. So my name is Ibrahima Yansane. You can just call me Junior. I was named after my dad, so he's senior, I'm junior. I am a model. I also, too, am a fine art painter. I do graphic design, different stuff of that nature in the art and entertainment space as well. I'm also, too, an entrepreneur. I'm a musician, so I have a lot of different hats. Do poetry as well, so just a full creative. I went to university straight out of high school for it, and just pretty much after that, just was gaining expertise in the or experience in the marketplace. So it's been cool. Yeah.
So you guys are getting a lot of love. Let me just let you know, people who are watching, they love you guys, beautiful black people. I mean, you guys are already getting the people routed up. But I want us to jump straight into the conversation. So I've been having these conversations. I think when COVID happened, it's been really serious when it comes to the different generations. And for me, what happened is because, everybody's on these Zoom calls and all these teams. And, some of us would get, when the COVID started first and we went into full default, I would say, working from home. Some of us would still dress up, and I would dress up and come downstairs in my basement to work and stuff like that. And then when we have meetings, and I see people who aren't of my generation, like the younger people, they're like in their sweats with t-shirt. Girls, they have on their hair ties. I'm like, this is supposed to be professional and stuff like that. So
Right.
I started doing my own research. I'm starting to understand. I wanted to understand you guys as well. I wanted to understand your culture. I wanted to understand what you guys look like, what your generation look like and all that stuff. So Ruhama, I will still say that you're Gen Z because I think you are like on that line.
Yeah.
Even though you're extremely mature, so I know, and Mr. Ibrahim, when you told me that you were a millennial, I was confused because I just remember you in summer camp, like running, like
Right.
literally running. I'm like, stop, why are you running? Why your legs are so fast? So I want to ask you guys, and you guys can tackle however way you want to.
Mhm.
How does your generation differ from the other generations? So millennial, other generations, and all that stuff.
Do you
And
want to go, Rama?
Mama can go
Yeah, I
first.
guess. I mean, I see a lot of like Twitter discussions about this. And one of the
Uh-huh.
main things, especially in the workforce, a lot of older people start to say, oh, with the like millennials and Gen Z, it's speaking for themselves at work or not, conforming to the usual thing of, oh, I'm just going to stick to this one job and work it for, the next 10 plus years. It's, oh, if you're upsetting me, I'm going to make it known and I will be quitting. I think the new thing now is, oh, I think somebody mentioned, she said, oh, employers are at will. They can just fire you whenever. They don't give you a 2 weeks notice. So why should I give them a 2 weeks notice? She's like, if I feel uncomfortable and I don't want to work here anymore, you're not getting a 2 weeks notice. I'm leaving.
Wow.
Oh,
And that's it. So I think that
okay.
perfectly describes
Wow.
the new generation, especially workforce wise. Yeah.
So Ibrahima, what's one of the differences when you look at the generation?
So I'll say the millennials are like hybrids almost. So a word I heard that one of my friends used, and I liked that. But we've married.
Mhm.
We're advanced enough or modern enough where we still can understand how technology is advancing, but we're not full blown born in the technological boom like Gen Z, Generation Z is. So they're very adept when it comes to technology, data, information. They understand how to use computers and like, that's pretty much their whole like niche, I guess. They understand it very well. They're born in that time. So when things are coming out digitally, they're like the first to it. So we understand, I think millennials, we didn't want to just be working forever. We saw our, I guess Gen X do that, or the baby boom generation. And we were like, yeah, we don't want to spend the rest of our lives up into our 60s or 70s working. So I think, but we recognize like the benefit of like working hard, but at the same time, I think what we've been able to see as millennials is like, hey, we do need to, create businesses or look into enterprises that can like free up some of our time. So I would say we're like the best of both worlds. We kind of have the like understanding of traditions or, I guess traditional habits, right? And then also to the sort of progressiveness that we see like in the Gen Z. Hopefully that makes sense.
So I will say something. So you have a question, both of you guys. There is a question from someone who's watching, and it asks, "Do you consider the other generation is old?" So I know Ibrahima, you are millennial, but I would say you are. I would say like I'm a millennial, but I'm 38. So I'm older
That's
than you.
that's still
Yeah, so I want to ask you guys, do you think like okay, so I'll ask Ruhama, do you think the other generation, you think they're old? I call myself ancient. I don't say old, I say ancient. So do you consider the other generations to be old?
I don't consider them old, in my opinion. But
Uh-huh.
then again, some people will. I didn't think you were 38.
How old do you think I
right.
was?
33, 34
35.
Oh,
max.
yeah, I'm
Yeah.
38. I'll be 39 this year. I'm celebrating my big 410 next year. So I am super
See, I
excited.
Wow.
did not know. If you had asked me, I would have been like, EJ's in his like early 30s.
Right.
So, and I think so. For me, I would say I enjoyed my childhood. I enjoyed my youth. I enjoyed when I was in my 20s. I had fun. I did all the things that kept me. So I think now that's why when people doing something, just I did that. It's okay. Somebody so you guys made a
Yeah,
great.
I get
I think
that.
you talked about something. You talked about something where you guys are hybrid and you're learning certain things. And for us, I learned certain things in my 30s. I think
Mm.
you guys are way advanced when it comes to your career, life choices, relationships, civic duties. When they talked about
Right.
all the different things, I think you guys are pretty advanced. But do you think that your generation feels some sort of social media attention? And I will go to Ruhama first.
What do you mean? Like,
Like
do we
it's
feel?
like everything for your generation is on social media. Like I get up
Right.
this morning, I brush my teeth, I'm going live. Like I post what? Like that's what I'm like. You guys, it's like everything is right now on time.
I do feel that way, but I think it's something that you can, it's something that you can opt out of.
Okay.
But I think there's like a sacrifice to opting out of it. I
Mm.
think if you're somebody who, if you're dating, if you're, even at work, like the conversations that certain people have, like TikTok, for example, takes over so much of the conversation now. So if you're
Uh-huh.
somebody who's like, I don't want to curate my life around social media. I don't want to post that much to my social media. I don't go on TikTok. I don't do that. I think it's going to limit the kind of conversations that you can have because like, most people are on these platforms. So if somebody, says a certain catchphrase or there's a certain like song that's trending and you're like, what's going on? So
Right.
it can kind of limit you in terms of your interpersonal dynamics. So then I think you just, interpersonally, then you just be with people who also feel the same way about social media,
So
you know? Because
so
like dating wise, sometimes like for me, like it's like I notice like girls can say, "Oh, I want a guy who's not on social media," but then when
uh,
you get with the guy who's not on social media, then it's like, "Oh, you don't get that. Like you don't get my
Right.
humor. You don't get." It's like, "Oh, I want to tell you this, but you don't get it." So then it makes things not fun. So
so I wanna say on this whole dating stuff, since you brought it up, let's just talk about it. I think so. When do you guys first start talking about dating or coding and stuff like that? When was the first time you had this conversation with your friends?
About dating?
Yeah.
Like when was the first time I
Yeah,
had the
what age?
conversation?
Yeah, what yeah.
Oh,
maybe
Like you
12.
I
like
think
a
at like
girl.
yeah, like 7. I don't like probably 7 maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ruham, same thing?
Yeah, I was saying like 12 that I can vividly remember. Maybe
Okay.
12, yeah.
Yeah, because
So
that you can see it by that age, like
by
you
that age.
understand. Yeah,
Yeah.
you know.
But was
So
it
you're
based
like, oh, what they're saying, like your parents will say, like, oh, that's so and so's wife or so and so's husband. So you know that like people get together or people are married, I guess. So for me, the
so
earliest thing I can even remember was 7.
7 or 6? So I asked this question because was it based on the fact that society and culture and what you saw on TV and the interaction with people and stuff like that brought that in, or was it just I just I don't know. So was it your
I see
environment?
what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's a combination of things. One, I think for Well, I wouldn't just say specifically. I'll use like first generation African American uh, uh, people like you, like me and Muhammad. Um, we we've seen like marriage in the context of specific things. So we've like seen the like marriage in the context of like from a religious standpoint. We've seen it also to like cultural, like the cultural aspect of like marriage and how that looks being because of our parents being African. So we already have like a framework from that, right? So like the cultural aspect, like your ethnicity, and then like the religious standpoint too, like with Christianity. So those are two that like you already like me and her would share like personally. So I think just making that general, people have like different influences on how they see it. I think for people who aren't in church or for people who don't have maybe a strong cultural background, then it would be either one or two things left is like media or peer groups.
Yeah.
So the people that you surround yourself with, and then maybe like media at large, like TV, movies, that sort of thing. Yeah.
Rama, would you like to add?
Like you said, it's like an amalgamation of everything. But because you're not raised in a vacuum, it's even if, okay, you can see your parents' marriage and okay, people get married. Then you see people in the church get married. But then you're also watching shows, where people aren't married. Then there's dating and stuff. And then if you went to a private school, then you go to like public school, then you see the dynamics of those different kinds of relationship. And then seeing what you grew up with and then conflating with what you see on those other different mediums. So then trying to merge everything and say, okay, so which one do I want? How am I going to approach dating and relationships and all of that?
So you mentioned something earlier about you dating, and now I guess you guys want somebody who's not on social media, but then some people want people on social media, and I would just put myself out there. Whoever I date, we can't be friends on social media. Period. Plain blank. That's my thing. My social media is my social media. It's my Instagram. Especially my Twitter, because that's where I go and I vent and I say things, and I don't want the person that I'm dating to see that. So
then your thing is private, then, right?
Oh, very private. Oh, very.
Oh, okay.
My Twitter is very private. My Twitter is extremely private. I follow minimum people. Minimum people follow me. And stuff like that. Like I keep that because I really vent on Twitter. It's where I really say a lot. Instagram, my Facebook account too. I do a lot of my discussions on Facebook account. So I limit from the people that see it because I think my opinions are extremely strong and people get offended by it. And so the generation, what I would call them, the baby bloomers, that's our moms and and I remember when I first started on Facebook, I would get calls from my aunties or uncles like, "Are you okay? Is everything fine?" I'm like, "What? Oh, you just posted this thing." I'm like, this is social media. Boy can post whatever. So that's why I started blocking them. So I give that context and bring that up to you. How, Ruhama, you're a female. How do you handle if you are dating somebody or you just talking to somebody and they aren't on any social media platform, or if they are on social media platform, what's your stance?
Personally, if they aren't, it doesn't matter to me if you are or if you aren't. If you follow me, I'll follow you, but I'm just not gonna like stalk your page because personally, to me, that's when thoughts. And so I'm just like, I don't stalk your page. I don't do that. So it's like if you follow me, I'll follow you, but because my page is not even private, so to me, it's it's not one of those things. So I would be, so that's not to me. I really serious issue for me. Like I can do social media, I can't do social media. So I don't really have any strict policy on whether you can follow me or if you can't follow me.
Ibrahima, what's your social media follow criteria?
Oh man. Well, I have to use it because
you're a fashion model.
Yeah, I mean, not even just that. That's one of the reasons why, but it's because everything I do is creative. So like I'm a musician, so I gig a lot at different places in DC, in Maryland, and
okay, hold up. You gig a lot in Maryland and
yeah,
DC
so
now.
like gigging, like performing.
I know what you mean. I know what you mean. I'm not that
Oh.
old. And no invitation. That's the
Oh
problem.
my goodness! I got.
Go ahead.
I'll let.
Go ahead.
We'll
Go
handle
ahead.
that later. We'll handle that.
Nope.
But I do that, and so basically, I have to, be engaged with social media. I'm not really someone who's like obsessed over it.
Yeah.
Right? I'm thankful, even though I use it a lot. I'm really not obsessed like with what's going on. Like every 2 seconds on there, I can go days without being on there. Um, but if I'm on there frequently, it's because I just want to be current with my image and exposure like to the community, because networking is such a big part of like my business and my brand. But my page is public. I don't mind who follows me really. I don't know. I just don't really take that serious. I think if maybe I don't know, if I became incredibly famous randomly, then I would probably make my page private after that, because I wouldn't want just anybody being able to follow me. But yeah, other than that, I don't really have a big criteria. If I'm dating somebody and they're on social media, that's cool. Nowadays, social media is low key like a resume kind of. And the reason why I say that is it's like a visual sort of resume. Like I get to see at least what your sense of style is, or like what your social life looks like. Just some little things that give, I think, people preemptive information, maybe even if it's assumptive. I mean, all of it is assumptive and speculative, but at least it's kind of giving you a sense of like how this person like
Want to
presents
be
themselves.
perceived.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like and you get like an idea of like like a what they project. So I think that's one of the major. That's literally how social media has integrated itself like into our social dynamics, as Muhammad was saying. Because it's like you go somewhere, all information is revolving around whatever's trending. So nowadays, to even be like aware of just what's going on in the world, you wouldn't even be able to have conversations with your peers, especially as the generations progress, because they wouldn't even you wouldn't even know what they're talking about. Imagine not being on social media and someone's like, hey, did you hear about the Will Smith thing? And you'll just be like,
What?
I don't know. Right? You would be so out of the loop of that, because that's something that's just going crazy on social media, if that makes sense. But yeah.
Well, I would say so recently when the Grammys happened, I didn't know none of those songs. I think I only knew like 3 or 4 songs. I didn't even know the
Oh,
artists.
really?
I had to like call Matthias and say, who's that? He would tell me, oh, that is this. I'm like, who are these people? First of all, everybody is called Lil. I'm like, you're a grown man. Why they call you Lil Baby?
Right.
Like, oh man, why they calling you little? You're already a baby, but then a little baby? That don't make no sense to me. So I think that's why I see my generation comes in me, because I get really confused. But I want to move on to a topic when it comes to online dating.
Oh, wow.
So this is something that is, I think, the first time I was like, I ain't going on no internet to look for nobody. I ain't doing that stuff. People gonna get catfish. Somebody gonna kill me at night. I can do this. But now I've seen that a lot of your generation and people who are your age group are actually meeting people online, Instagram and all this stuff. And so I want to ask you guys, like, what is the security measures? First of all, do you guys have the apps? Bumble, I know some of them. Bumble, I think that's what I heard.
Tinder, Hinge.
Tinder, Hinge, and all that stuff. Have you guys participated in any one of those apps? This is the conversation.
I had I think I made a Tinder account just to even see what it was like.
Okay.
I was genuinely even curious to how they really how like the developers of the app structured it so people could find mates. I was very curious about that. But then like I think after a week I just I stopped using it. I wasn't really active.
So do you
I
stay
wasn't
old
really
school?
active.
Do you do old school? You meet somebody, you feel the vibe.
Yeah, I'm more I'm more old school. Like I prefer seeing somebody in like a context, a context outside in real life type of thing, and just let it be that. Yeah.
But Ruhama,
That's what I think.
you are a tax accountant. I believe your right now. I believe your life is extremely busy until April 15th. I know the date. So
April,
I
well,
want
it's
to
April 18th this year.
April
So
18th.
this year.
Okay, so I want to ask you, beautiful female, really smart. You have a whole career going on for you. Do you even have the time?
Yeah.
So
I just
have you? Go ahead.
I guess it's just depending. Like I like to do both.
Okay.
So I like to do like this Tinder, all the dating apps, and then also like IRL. Like when like COVID is kind of hard to do
Exactly.
interpersonal. So you kind of do the dating apps, and I've been on a couple of dates. It's nice. It's good. Like you get to meet some people, and then it's like, oh, we don't really vibe, but like we can just be friends, and there's that. So I like though, but I would say I do prefer like in person though,
Oh,
because like with online dating, I'm like I can lie, you can lie. Like you don't really know this person. There's no way for like context to. The only thing you're going off of, at least for the first like couple of months, until unless they integrate you, you guys integrate each other into your lives. The only way you can kind of know about this person is whatever they tell you, you know, and unless you plan on like stalking them to figure out, you know, all their life story, the only way you can do that, you know. So one thing like I somebody suggested just like if you feel comfortable, if you're brave and bold, tell the person, hey, can I get like your ex's contact number to kind of get like I
hell no.
need I need a review. I need a review. You know, like I need to know why
Oh,
because you just know. You know, some guys will say, "Oh, my ex was crazy." Red flag. Why was she crazy? So it's kind of like so you don't really know until. But when you meet somebody in real life, usually by that time, like you guys, it's easier to integrate yourself into each other's lives. So somebody can kind of say, "Hey," point out the red flags to you already. You don't have
Right,
to, you know, wait for them to pop up in like 3 4 months. You just somebody will say, "Hey, do not like I know that's my friend, but I wouldn't date him if I were you." You know, somebody can like your friend who like introduced you can kind of tell you, hey, do not, you know, do not do this.
right.
Versus online dating, you have to it takes time to find that process out. So
mm.
that's what I would more so.
So I want to ask you guys this question. So let's say, so Ibrahim, for you who like the old school. So when you meet somebody, let's say you go out, you're doing one of your gigs, you meet this person, you know, you're doing your thing, you're vibing and everything. Let's say you get the person's name and you get their number. You
Mhm.
don't go and do research on them. You don't like Google or like Facebook search and all that stuff on them.
No,
That
I
is the
mean,
young. You
I
don't do
don't.
that.
I've never done that. I've never done that in my life. If whenever I've heard that, EJ, it's always come from like a girl, you know,
No,
like
I do it for online dating.
right, right.
There's once I saw a dude who had like an arrest record.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah. I mean, I don't like, and that was even gonna be my next point. Ruhama was like, you know, guys and girls, we're like different with what we have to sort of do, or I think what we even thinking about, what we think about when we, you know, even think about dating people or how we approach it, because you know, literally our biological sex. So there when I go on dates, I'm not so cautious, I guess, and that someone would probably think it would, you know, that would be naive of me, or not, you know, thorough. But I think that's just because I'm a guy. Like I don't even think about certain things that like I think a girl or a woman would think about if she was, you know, going out with someone that she's meeting for the first time, right? So uh I'm a lot more lax. Like I'm a very lax individual.
Yeah, you
So
just relax.
yeah, maybe I need to tighten
So
up, but I don't do no Google search. I know how to, and I mean I think I have a very good like like discernibility. I know what to ask. You know, I know how to speak in such a way where I can really get an idea of like who's in front of me. So
So Ruhama,
yeah.
I know you have some things at stake. So I just want to say there are just certain people that you can. I'm just saying, like you dealing with people's taxes, you might have access to people information and stuff like that. So when you are meeting somebody, do you do your due diligence before you go and sit in front of that person?
yeah, I just feel like the basic stuff. Like, I don't want to know your whole life story before I talk to you in person. Like, that to me, that's creepy. And also, it takes out like the mystery. So, like, sometimes I would just do like a general, like, just to make sure like you are who you say you are. Um, but I think like one thing that like just to cut that out and just saying like before I meet you, I want to have like an on phone conversation or like a FaceTime, just to kind of say, okay, you know,
Not a
you're
monster.
you. I don't have to, I'm not getting out of my house to waste my gas money. Like gas prices are increasing. I'm not wasting it for a catfish. FaceTime me, you know. So I do like that option. Also, do not ask me to come over to your place.
Oh, okay.
So we have to meet in like a crowded area where,
Okay.
you know, if I can cry for help, people will hear me. So I do like that. And then of course, when I have my friends, I'll like, you know, send a screenshot of your information to my friends and say, hey, if you don't hear from me,
Mhm.
you know, in a certain time, just know I'm probably dead. Contact the police. So there is that option, but I've never had to do that. So
Yeah, those are all the things I'm talking about that, like, you know,
Yeah.
a girl would have to do.
So I just want to let you know, just in case I go and search people criminal records. I have a lot to lose, so I
Right.
need to know a lot of things about people before. Yeah. So Maryland search is free. You get that person first name and last name. You can put that in it. Give you everything about them that ever happened to them. It's there. I follow that. I'm messing with that
Wow.
because I ain't
Yeah.
gonna get no crazy person tell myself sorry.
yeah, because
But
that seems like some girls who suggest it because they're like, oh, before
yeah,
them, several like girls have said, I found out he was married. I found out he was in a relationship.
Yeah.
Like I found out he had children, and I don't, you know, I don't date people with children, but he lied and said he did. So I think it's good to kind of do like a general, you know, safety.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
That's
want
why
to
I
ask
prefer
you
meeting
guys.
people in person.
Yeah, exactly. But I want to ask you guys a question. You guys are in totally different. I would say different industry. She's in tax. You're in the arts and all that kind of stuff. When you were choosing your career, did your parents have a great influence on your career path?
Probably yes. I think they were like patient because I was kind of going from one thing to another. I was in like broadcast journalism, communications, law. I think I even mentioned medicine at one point, and then I eventually settled on accounting. so, so they did like have the you know like I was like I always heard like accounting was hard. I took like a couple of accounting courses, and you know it wasn't as hard as you know I thought it would be. And he was like, well, accountants make money.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you should stick with accounting instead of a general business, you know, degree. So
Yeah.
I figured I'd just switch.
Yeah. My parents didn't ever tell me like this is what I should do as far as a job occupation, or even if they did, I don't remember it. But you know, that's not like that was not my experience, which is surprising because you know my parents are
Yeah.
African. So,
Okay.
um, you know, it's also too specific to like I think what they were doing and what was going on at the time. But you know, they never told me, hey, do this, or you know, we think you should do this. All they did was encourage me to go to school. You know, but they knew I had talent for art, and they would encourage that. You know, I think very early on they thought there was something wrong with me because I used to draw too much. But after a while, once they realized, okay, this is like a gift of his, then you know, I think that was actually something that one of my teachers helped my parents realize. But once they realized that, they encouraged it. So yeah, I guess indirectly they have encouraged me in what I've pursued and been in. Yeah.
So both of you guys have transitioned into adulthood. I would say that you guys are adults. How was your transition from being? I
Huh.
was start with Muhammad, from being daddy little girl to now you're a full grown woman. You're driving. You have your own job. You pay. I believe you pay bills. You can go out on dates, you can do all this. So how was that transition, and how did you take it?
I guess I'm still transitioning. uh, I don't know. Mm, I don't like it. I don't enjoy. Sometimes I get frustrated with them because I'm just like, you could have kept me in heaven. Like you could have kept me. Like, why did y'all have to like be fast children and wanting to get married and wanting to start a family? Like you could have like held off, you know. But it's like now I'm here. I have to like live this life and be responsible for myself, and
Right.
that is extremely hard for me. So I guess I'm still kind of transitioning into adulthood, but I'm doing it kicking and screaming. And I'm trying to, I guess, figure out a way to do it in a way that's comfortable for me.
Yeah, I feel
Mm.
that. Yeah, that's real. I mean, that's something that I foresaw when I was like still in my parents' house. Like when I was like 14, I was like, man, like all my parents are doing is working, and it's like, you know, they're managing this, they're managing that. When you're young, you don't feel the effects. As you get older, you're like, wait, that's going to be me. Like, that's what that's what all I'm going to be doing. And when I got into it, I think my transition into adulthood has been like very, very hard, because like being in the industry that I'm in, like pursuing anything in entertainment or trying to create a business for yourself is not like overnight. There's a lot of like, you know, ups and downs and losses that are involved. So trying to do that, and then, you know, having to really start to sustain yourself is a very weird transition, because I don't think it's the same for any two people that are going from like adolescent, you know, or pubescence to like adulthood. It's different for everyone because of just what you're going through. For some people, that transition is smoother because they already have some foundational things in play. For other people, they don't. So just depending on, I guess, where you start, and how much access you have to information, and then, you know, just your action is really going to determine how I guess how smooth that transition can be, or just if going into adulthood would actually become something that's like enjoyable and not just all work, right? So
Yeah.
So when you say enjoyable, she said, you know, she's kicking and screaming. What do you guys what is in what context when you say
the
enjoyable?
well, like for me, the way my outlook is a little unconventional. You know, society has the model, which is like, again, it's an old model when we think of like the workforce in the marketplace.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's on how like we can drive commerce, you know, because our system is run on a capitalistic system, so that requires money. So you need people working, right? It's just the only way the system even can function. So people that are high up are not going to be trying to manufacture like in mass at mass. Let me just preempt with that. But they're not going to be trying to encourage at mass people like entrepreneurs and business people. If anything, all of the businesses that are creating money for America already exist, right? So they're not really pressed or trying to encourage that, though it seems as if it is. It's more so like a public image rebranding sort of thing. But in actuality, it's like um, that's the model. So it's like go to work 9 to 5, work, find, you know, do that for like 30, 40 years, you
Mm-hmm.
know, put money aside for retirement. So the way that it's initially told to us is to look to basically work our whole lives and plan for like when we're old, like in our 60s, and then enjoy 20 years of life with your retirement. You know, go buy a house somewhere at the beach. That's what they pitch. So that doesn't teach anybody to think about how they can replace their income or how they can start a business. Your mindset is like, let me just run the race until I'm 60, and then hopefully things will get better. And my view was like, that's not fun to me. If that's like the life that God has created us to live, like, I don't want no parts. So even
No
when like Ruhama
parts.
was saying, I was like, I'm good. And so I was like, life has to mean more than that. So my model of thinking is a work is not to me just occupational. It's like something divine, like whatever you're good at doing. And if you have like a work, then it can become a business that can have value and significance, not only to you in like for being able to do it, but also too it can have marketplace value, so it can make you money. And if that's your work, then if you do have to do an occupation or something like that that you have no sort of interest in, uh, still keep your actual work like before you. Like, don't discard that. Find ways to be able to move in such a way where you can still pursue that, because that's the thing that's going to save you, in my opinion, and give your life meaning.
Rama, you gonna add to that?
Yeah, I had that feeling. I think as he says he had it from young. I didn't have that. I mean, it was kind of like tinkering in the back of my mind, but maybe it's because I never really had to like work a lot, like when I was younger.
You're
I
lucky.
think I was like in McDonald's, maybe. But then again, I was like in school, and then like the way I had done like my classes, I got like Fridays off every day. I mean, every week for when I like all throughout college. So then my first like job was right after I graduated. So I graduated in like December 2017, and then like my job started like February 2018. I think it was like what? And then the first, I started like right into the heat of tax season, like just throw me right in. And then I was working like 9 to 9 during tax season, so like 60 hours. So then I think it was like 1 month, and not even 1 month. Month I'm being generous. One weekend I was like, I'm supposed to do this for the next what 30 years. How do I get out of this prompt? I was
Right.
planning my eggs. I was planning my exit the minute I was like, "Oh, Muhammad, you need to find a way to get out of this because this is ridiculous. I cannot." I was like, "If this is what I have to sign up for, Lord, take me out." I'm so scared. Take me out of the game. I'm ready to leave. Like, come right now. So I just knew like right then and there that it wasn't for me. So then I started having to like to figure out a way to, I guess, as people say, get out of the matrix. So that's kind of what I was trying to do. So then like, okay, well, how can I structure my life to be in a way where I can enjoy my life? I don't want to wait until like, I'm older and I don't have that much energy to then start enjoying my life. And then it had me thinking about, okay, children and partnership. And so all of those things were going on in my mind. Like, do I even want to like bring another person into this being when I'm like and when I'm struggling living life, and being responsible for myself? How am I going to do that and be responsible for another person? So it just made me think about all of that. And I'm still thinking through that. Yeah.
And it's so weird because you guys are thinking about things in your 20s that some of us probably experienced in our 30s. When I was in my 20s, I'm going to go to work. After I get off work, I'm going to go party. Period. I need my spending money. I pay my rent. I pay my car bill. My insurance is paid. Cell phone bill is paid. Student loans are paid. I'm partying and I'm shopping. Because there was nobody that we could look up to that would say, oh yeah, there is this person who living this life and I can model them. So I just like that was the norm. But
Right.
what's so funny is you guys are actually you guys are ahead of, I would say, my time. Because like Ruhama, you made a really important point where you said, I am struggling in this life. How am I going to even bring somebody into this life? That's something we don't think about because we didn't think our parents thought about it because I'm not like shit. We ain't had out of that. We were just struggling and stuff like that. They were still bringing kids up in here. What's going on?
I
And now
posted something, EJ.
that's why I got one. But I'm like, oh, hell no. I still need have a life that I'm accustomed to. I ain't responsible for all the kids that come in feeding people here, freeloaders. But you guys, this is why we say the generations are so different. Because you guys are talking about generation wealth. You guys are talking about how you can make it. You don't want to do 9 to 5. You're in your 20s saying you don't want to do 9 to 5. Are you kidding me? What else?
I feel like I've worked
Work
one
from
year feels like 10 years.
hour, you get drunk, you get your car, you go home, you do the cycle all over. On the weekends, your friends, you go to brunch, you come back, you check your paycheck, you realize money is short, you go back to get. That's what we did.
Shy.
From 20 to 30. Literally, that is the schedule. You go to work
Shy.
Monday to Friday. That's it. If you're not, if you, some people like, I have friends, somebody like you guys know, Ram, who is a nurse, who is a nurse, she had to work on the weekends. And we're talking about 16 hours. So we're talking about 8
Yeah.
hours. So let's look at that. And I'm looking at you guys. Why I say you guys have really created a platform for yourself. You guys have created a niche for yourself. So can you imagine a generation after you? They won't, Matthias, they won't work.
No, they won't.
Because they're, they're already coding. They're making money already.
Yeah.
They're already coding. They're coding. They're doing stuff to make money at 10, 12 years old.
Yeah.
So imagine you guys, and that's what I said. You're talking about you investing. I said, investing? What am I investing? I'm eating all my money. I just need to make sure I pay my bills, and that was it. Everything
Yeah.
else gone.
Let me even to that point, EJ, because this is the thing. In America, why is it that like we have to wait until we're 18 to start like legally making money? Like, you know, I mean to be able to go to work.
Mhm.
So this is what I started to realize, which didn't make any sense. When I mean like lack of information. So in like with Caucasians, like white people, and then even other I would say um, like races where you have like you have first generation whatever, you know, group, right? Insert whatever group. They like usually their parents have some sort of like business they have, or they have access to information that they're able to either like take care of their kids, and their kids don't have to worry about money, you know, trying to do whatever it is that they're doing. But then for others, they already have like understanding of how money is made, so they can pass that on to their kids. So their kids aren't waiting until they're like 18 to like actually make money, you know, just through like spending their physical time, which is like hours for the, you know, your physical time for money, where you have to physically be there. So the fact that we have to wait until we're 18, so most of us that just don't have that information, don't, what, you know, what does, you know, society tell you to spend all your time on is just go to school. So you're thinking, okay, the minute I graduate from high school, then I'm gonna go out, I'm gonna start making money, and you're really waiting for that you know, that day. All of the like money you may have had up until that point was money you're getting from like your parents or this, that, Christmas, or whatever little things. If you were super duper, you know, if you were very I guess innovative, you found ways of making money, you know, by either selling small things, whatever. The point that I'm saying is that if money is not something you have to like wait until you become 18, or, you know, you graduate from college with this particular degree to start really making in mass. Like there, you can be taught ways on how to make money even as a kid. And if you have, I don't know, businesses, or if you have thoughts and ideas that you're fortunate enough to have people be able to want to invest into, or that you could even pursue in tandem of going to high school and to whatever middle school is in the third, you can still become someone who's profitable. You may not be making like hundreds of thousands, but you would be making enough that you could save, that you could build up your income. So by the time you're 18, at least you have a cushion money, if you will, right? A rainy day fund. You have enough money that like, hey, I can kind of really start to pursue what it is that I want to do. Maybe I can have money to even take risks. The problem is that we graduate from high school, we can't take no risks because we don't got no money, right? So we have to go work, right? We got to go and think strategically about a job that's going to give us like at least 35, 40,000, so I can, you know, because you're not going to set your parents for the rest, for the remainder of your 20s. So I think that's the lack. When I talk about the lack of information part, that's what I'm really addressing. Is like, I know for me with my kids, they'll already be learning how to make money or how money works well before they graduate. You know, so if they want to try something, they can do it. You know, we hear stories all the time of like kids in middle school or high schoolers who start this particular type of little business. It's a side hustle, but they're doing it while they're in school. They're still learning about how, you know, commerce works, because when you get out in the real world, you recognize that if you don't understand commerce, you're going to struggle, or you'll just be a worker. And then they have pretty successful businesses that end up becoming something grand, you know, and then they're able to even choose if they want to stay at school or not. So
And I
Just
sorry for
to
that long piece,
piggyback
but
off of
yeah,
go ahead,
go ahead.
Muhammad.
like what Ibrahima was saying was about I think you mentioned like teaching them like while they're young. Like
Yeah.
even in the investing, when I started like first, I had bought like the
Right.
day trading and investing course, and then they had like the Discord group that you could go into. Of course, it was just like the majority was like Caucasian men were in the group, but then women and then like minority. But surprisingly, a lot of like the people who were there, a lot of the guys who were there, I think a couple of them were under 18. And one of them, he had mentioned that his dad had bought him the course. He's like, I'm not currently 18. I can't have an account of my own to actually trade. He's like, but my dad did like buy me he bought me this course, and I've had like the course since I was 16. And he had said like, if you take the course and then like you in the same software where you can do live trading for real, they also have the option if you can paper trade. So like you're
Yeah.
doing the real thing, but you're doing it with fake money. And so his dad was like, if you can show me that you grew your account from this amount and you consistently grew it until you're 18, I will fund your account
Oh, wow.
with
Wow.
actual like 25. I will give you $25,000 and fund your account. If you can show me that you grew 25,000 over the course of 2 years, I will fund your account. Because then I know you've shown me that you can prove that,
You
you're
can make
able
money.
to, like, you can
Yeah.
make money. So if you so he was like, oh yeah, I've grown my account. It's like over 70 grand now. I was like, he's like, I can't wait till I turn 18. I was like, I'm over here like 24. How do you know this? It's like, I'm 17. I'm upset.
Right.
So yeah.
And that attitude, I think that's why we say your generation, you guys, your generation are advanced. You guys, basically, they are the largest. You extremely diverse. You guys, like I said earlier, you guys, your career choices are different. When it comes to relationship, the way you guys look at relationships are different. There are people in your relate. I think we're seeing more open relationships in your generation than we've seen it in our generation, other people's generation. I've heard about a couple who's actually married, but they live in separate homes, and they are millennials.
Yes.
Okay,
Amen.
and so
Amen.
I've seen it in all kinds of things. You have, I mean, your generation is like he said, risk. You guys are willing to take the risk. You don't care what people. You really don't care what people are going to say. You're going to do it. You're going to live your life and stuff like that. And I think that's why it's super important. That's why we need to understand you guys as people who are older, or even your parents. It's weird sometimes when you say something. I'm just like, what? What does that mean? And you're talking about stock and all that stuff. I didn't learn that stuff until maybe like what 3, 4, 5 years ago. Inside trading and all that stuff. That's when I learned it. And so and I'm still not as comfortable with it. I'm still not comfortable enough to like risk my money and I can lose it. I'm still like, put it in the bank. It will be there. If I come back tomorrow, my money's gonna be there. I don't care. And so like it's like my son wants to start a YouTube channel. I have all these ifs and buts about it. If you get on the internet, there are going to be people who are going to say things about you. Are you ready to deal with that? Like I go through this whole thing. And he looked at me like, Daddy, it's just a YouTube channel. What's your problem? I'm like, no. It's security. It's this, it's that. And so that's why having this conversation with you guys, because you are literally enlightening me. But before we go, I want to ask both of you guys, where would you see yourself at 50? What do you think your life will be at 50?
At
Yeah.
50?
50, 50.
Oh.
Have you
I
thought
think
that?
that's actually quite interesting. I was what is it? I don't know. What is it? I had bought this lady. I had bought her her magic of self, of course, and I was taking some notes from her on, and she had said something very interesting. I wrote it down. Hold on one second. She was saying, well, the current life choices I'm making for myself right now are choices that will lead to outcomes older me would have to deal with. And like you, I guess she said like the folly of youth. You know it, but you don't really know it. Whereas like, okay, the decisions that I'm making right now, it's comfortable for me now, but will 50-year-old me or will like 70-year-old me be comfortable with that decision? So like if I make the decision I don't want to get married, will 50-year-old me, be happy in a not having like a romantic life partner in that sense? If I decide, okay, I don't want children, I want to forego children. Yes, 20 and 30-year-old me is like very happy. But will 50 and 60-year-old me be happy about this decision? So that's currently kind of the I don't know yet. I'm currently, weighing. That's the situation where I'm in. I'm just like, and if I do decide I do want children, will 50-year-old me be happy with that decision? Because it's like, which then I'm now right now I'm like weighing the benefits and the cost of all my decisions and trying to figure out which one older me would be most comfortable with and be most saying to me, you chose well. So I really don't know where I want to be 50 because that's currently the decisions that I'm weighing heavily right now and realizing
That's
that
real.
it's not, I'm making the choices for me now, but I'm also making the choices of future me, and I do not know what future me will be happy with right now. So I'm still in the process of deciding.
Yeah, that's such a real, honest, answer. You know what I mean? I like that you approached it like that because most people just like dream up like this Disney, sort of fantasy of what they want that to look like. But that's a beautiful picture. But I think people don't really take the time to like really ask themselves like seriously, like what do I actually want? My 50-year-old me, what do I want that person to look like? So like your answer to me is like real because I've noticed whenever that question is asked, people just always like imagine up like the best possible situation they can be in, and it's like that's optimistic, that's good, but like realistically, like are you like have you really thought out if the decisions you're making currently right now are going to produce a person that you like 50 years from now? That's how I approach that question that that little note you wrote, because I literally had that thought today, like, and I have that internally with my life. Like I'm like, okay, I'm trying to have like a goal to go out and work out to put on a certain amount of weight. So I'm like, okay, like, is this the decision I'm making right now to not work out going to impress or make my future self the very next day happy, right? So I'm like, all right, let me go out and take myself to the gym. But that's real. I think for me, where I see myself at 50, I've really actually thought about the question. I think I've been thinking about that question since I was a kid. Like, I've always been thinking about what I want my life to look like, and I think that's a gift because like I'm a like I would say I'm a visionary. Like I just see ahead, or so looking at my parents, I'm like, what kind of family do I want? Like, what kind of life do I want to have? I know that I want to be doing something well that I know how to do well and that I enjoy. So I know I'll definitely be owning a business that runs and operates in art and entertainment by the time I'm 50. Like for sure, I'll probably have multiple. And I think what I also see is I want to have a family because of legacy, because I feel as if the things that I'm doing and the value that I'm I'm becoming aware of through my faith with the Lord is too valuable for it to just like end with me. So I definitely want that to be passed on because I want it to be able to like be taken as far as it can go, and I want that to have like positive implications on society. So having a family to me is necessary because of that goal of mine. So for me, I desire a family. So when I think about a wife and things of that nature, I just want her to be parallel to that. It's, I don't even have to get into the like nitty gritty of like how she would be, but if she is parallel to what, at least to that like idea, like I think we could run well. But yeah, and then just really kind of kicking back at 50. I'm not really trying to be doing too much wahala.
I hear you. No Allah, no Allah, no Allah. But I hear you, and and you said a lot. But there's one thing you said: at 50, you want to be doing something that you like, and you want to be doing it. You want to do something that you enjoy doing. And I think a lot of times we don't focus on that, because if you like what you're doing and you enjoy doing it, it brings you happiness, it brings you peace, and it brings you joy. But I would tell you both, this has been 60 minutes of some great conversation. It is out. And you guys have been super, super excited, super dope. The conversation was good. As you can see, I'm trying to get, my little lingo. And I said dope. It's probably old school, but it's been good. I had a great conversation with you guys. You guys were able to carry the conversation. I said thank you so much for being on the platform. I appreciate you guys. Continue doing what you're doing. We're super proud of you guys. Ibrahima, I got a lot of text message, people asking, who are you? So I'm gonna forward your information. I'm gonna forward them to you, or how I'm gonna do this. But one was like, who is that guy? I'm like, that man, he's been here. Where you guys been at? So yeah, there's something that's coming your way. So get ready. Get ready.
Lord.
Yeah, they're coming. Who is that? I'm like, girls, why y'all thirsty? But hey, this is what it is. I want to say thank you so much for being here. It's been great. It's been 60 minutes.
And thank you so much again, EJ, for doing this, and keep doing it.
Sure, appreciate it. We can't hear you, Rahama. But like they say, bye bye. Have a good evening. Bye. Hey guys, of course, this was a conversation. Outspoken Opinionated. Of course, I'm your host, Edwin Meyer. It's been good. We had a great time. I had two great young people, just sharing their ideas and giving us information. If you want to follow us, again, we are on Facebook, The Conversation Outspoken Opinionated. We are on Instagram. It's called The Outspoken and Opinionated Podcast. You can follow us on Spotify. Spotify is The Conversation Outspoken Opinionated. You can go and listen to us again on Apple Podcasts. It's also The Conversation Outspoken Opinionated. But you guys have an amazing evening, and I'll see you next week.